Hi there, and welcome to the latest edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is brought to you by fans for fans, and where the content is absolutely free. It is another bonus pod for you tonight, guys. We're previewing the Dundee game at Ibrox tomorrow. I'm joined by Alex Anderson, as it seems to be the norm these days. So how's your Friday going, Alex?
It was going well until I tried to log on to Gersnet there, Colin. Apologies to everybody for being about 5 minutes too late. I'm on that bloody often these days. You think I'd know what I was doing by now, but I decided to get myself kicked out the system, and my laptop was powering down, and basically it's the kind of slackness that we're hoping a Rangers team that's only lost one game in about 10 years doesn't succumb to on Sunday. It's tomorrow, sorry, but good to be back, sir.
Is this a long-winded way of you saying to people that are tuned in live that the reason we're 3 minutes late is it's your fault, really?
Yes. That's as close as you'll get to an apology. It was me. I'm sorry.
Right, before we move on, I should probably complete the introduction. I sort of skipped a wee bit there. The main thing I suppose I want to mention is we're approaching 5,000 subscribers, guys. I think we're about 60 or 70 off it. So get subscribing to the YouTube channel, put the word out there in social media. And as I say every week, guys, there's more than the podcast here at Gersnet. Get yourself onto the website. You'll find lots of stuff there, especially the forums, and there's a history archive, all that kind of a stuff. So I thought we'd look at the Hibs game, because that was a big result for us, and we'll preview tomorrow's game at Ibrox against Dundee. So on to Wednesday night. I don't know how you felt and the build up to it. I found myself being right up for it, if you know what I mean, really, really up for it, to the extent that I actually finished work a wee bit early and went for a couple of pints before the game, because I just had that buzz, and I really had a feeling that Rangers were going to put on a performance and go to town. And I know we got the result, but it was for long stages it was another sort of turgid performance, really.
Aye, in that crazy kind of self-aggrandising way, I felt this is my fault. That thing you think that, all your weak kind of superstitions and that, we all think it's us personally that's affecting these results. I was the same as yourself, Colin. I go on and on about how anytime I'm positive about Rangers, things go, tease up. And I felt that way. I was the same as yourself. We were saying that in the preview pod on Tuesday night. I was right up for it as well. I was really looking forward to it. I hate when we go to Easter Road. I generally kind of hate playing Hibs these days. Hate's a strong word. I don't look forward to it in the way you should.
Yeah.
It's not a fixture I enjoy. But I found myself not really caring about the opposition this time. It was more, I was just the first two games under Gio. I was really looking forward to seeing what wee variations were going to be there. You and I were talking about, we'd probably maybe bring Steve Davis back in to try and, kind of show things up a bit more in respect to the Hibernian attack. But it just turned into a kind of, just a nerve fest. I just spent the whole game kind of, when you look back on it, and watching bits of it again, we weren't under any kind of real sustained threat for Hibs, other than maybe Connor Goldson's, kind of crazy goal line clearance. There wasn't too many reasons to panic. But
you think he meant that on
no,
I don't think he meant that.
I think he's leading with his right. He's trying to put it out at the near post, and it's just
I think so. And he's put it the other way. Yeah,
I don't mean that as part of that. I know a lot of people don't like Connor now, and I don't mean that. I just genuinely don't think,
I don't think he meant it.
But it was that kind of game, even if you want to say that was a great clearance, that he did mean it. It comes from Borna Barisic just no picking up his runner. Borna Barisic at the same time was putting in lots of great last-ditch tackles. His defending was much better. Gio's got him and Tav defending a lot better because they're not going as far forward in a game like this. But I don't think there was anybody that really played brilliant. I thought Glenn Kamara was the kind of poly fella. Anything that was going wrong, he was plugging gaps. He was everywhere. I thought Glenn Kamara just generally all night was one of our classiest players, one of the guys who got real pass marks. I don't know that anybody actually got fail marks as such, but it just wasn't happening.
It was strange, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, the two guys we'll talk. Arfield and Roof come on, and they're heroes, but you don't know how much of that is because the rest of their teammates had maybe worn Hibs down a bit. It was a kind of a war of attrition at times, but I think it was a kind of increased discipline of their positioning. Tactically, we looked like a team that was trying something new. maybe not glaringly new to the naked eye, to the untrained eye, like my own. But Gio's maybe said to them, he's been sitting in the stand, obviously, at Hampden. He doesn't know how maybe we usually would play Hibs at Easter Road, but he's maybe went, right, we're not going to go forward. And the fullbacks are only going to pile forward the way they usually would. It's a bit more defensive. And we looked like a team who knew what they were supposed to be doing, but just didn't have the familiarity with it. So there was a lack of fluidity, a lack of flow. But it was a massive result. I've seen us playing a lot better at Easter Road and only getting a draw. But especially Gerrard's first kind of couple of seasons. But by the end, we did deserve it. And I hate, if you win, you win. I don't like this deserved nonsense. There's no such thing really as deserving football. But we churned it out, and I think it's an absolutely a massive result. And it was just a crazy night. I could never really settle, but we got there.
It was. I kind of, my first point of getting the fear, but actually maybe starting to think that this game wasn't going to be the game that I thought it was going to be, was just before it, in the build-up. Edith Barlow was like, these teams have scored X amount and conceded X amount. When you see it, it'll turn out and be a 0-0 tonight. You know what I mean? Because everything leading up to it was two teams that can score, two teams that can definitely concede. There's going to be goals in this game. And the minute she said that, I was like, oh, this could go the other way, actually. That's always the same when you expect a lot of goals. Actually, it goes the other way.
I don't know if that's an indication of Gio's thing about the nil. He's focused on getting the nil. Yeah. And if you want to look, I do want to look at it positively. I do look at it generally positively. He's come in here and he's disrupted the flow of that fixture. Like that. But we're expecting a lot of goals, a lot of action. But he's come in here and just said, no, I'm kind of killing this dead.
Yeah.
And then we'll grind it out and get. When you look back on it, it's like a slow turning of the screw from Rangers. If you want to be really kind to our performance, I think we got away with a lot of stuff. But the stuff we were doing badly, Hibs were doing badly as well. And I feel as if, do you know what? Our last Dutch manager, I think that the high point for Dick Advocaat, you can always say that the point that we really realised Dick Advocaat had arrived was the pivot, the Barry Ferguson pivot in Leverkusen. We just, you watch that game back, we beat Bayer in Leverkusen, a phenomenal result back in '98. There's that moment where Barry Ferguson just turns with the ball, and for a second, especially if you're watching the clip on YouTube, you don't know what team's shooting what way. It just like the Bayer Leverkusen team are trying to follow us as our whole midfield turns round as well.
Turns the other way, yeah.
And we go, and we leave them standing, we go through and goal. In this game, I think, Gio's maybe moment of turning it with Rangers was when Calvin Bassey, 72, 73 minutes, Calvin Bassey had started kind of coming forward a bit. And
is this the wee drag back thing that he done?
He tried that a few times and it wasn't happening, Calvin, stop it. But he went forwards and he was just getting the Hibs half and he stopped and he's put the foot in the ball like, I'm Barry Ferguson. And then he turns and he falls. And it's just Hibs are all piling forward to our goal. And it's Porteous, and he basically gives the ball away and gets tackled straight away as well. And in our half of the centre circle. And it was just like, it summed up that game. But I think that's maybe summed up Gio's approach of, no, I don't care how untidy it is. I don't care how long it takes you to learn my ways. You're going to do this my way, and we're not going to have anybody running over the top of us ever, the way Hibs run over the top of us at Hampden. He's maybe overcompensated because that was although we've not been great this season, I think that was a freakishly bad performance at Hampden that day from Rangers. A Rangers team who just lost their manager, their whole management team. But I think Gio's maybe looked at that and thought, no, I'm not letting that happen again. Maybe giving Hibs a bit more respect.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say. That I genuinely did think at one point in the game, we're giving this mob too much respect. We're being overly cautious. But, when you put it in the sort of terms that you've just described there, the last time Gio's seen Hibs, as you say, the steamroller, the game was, according to Connor Goldson anyway, it was over at half time. So yeah, I could maybe understand that. I mean, in terms of the nil, he's had 3 games now, Gio. He's managed nil in 2 of them. The clean sheets are coming back again. And one thing I have to say, I have to sort of, you're talking about Calvin Bassey there. I kind of have to almost give an apology because a few weeks ago on this show, we were talking about him maybe getting in at left back ahead of Borna Barisic because Borna's not playing so good and he was playing well. And I was like, well, he should get a game at left back because I tell you what, he's not a centre back. But you would have to say over the last 2 or 3 games, he really has he's performed superbly well.
Colin, well, we're all the same. The entire Rangers support, I think, was the same when it came to Calvin. No harm to the guy. We were just loving him. We had our doubts about him as a left back this time last season. Even though I remember him coming on the game away to Standard Liège, and Bonner picked up an injury there and had to go off, and Calvin come on, he just slotted in straight away when he come on, Calvin, that night. And I thought maybe he just needs the flow to be going, the shape to be established, and he'll come on and he'll do great. He had a terrible game against St Mirren when we went out the League Cup that night, but so did a few others. But he was great. He's been great this season. He's getting better and better at left back, and he's going forward really, really strong. He's defending just as strong. He's crossing, really improving. And it was kind of like, oh no, he's going into centre half. We don't really want, but again, everybody had the fear about it, I think. And maybe that's maybe having to kind of babysitting through games has contributed to Connor Goldson's increased number of mistakes the past few games. But I think he's been absolutely fabulous. Calvin, he's getting better and better. I'm having a pop, a laugh at him. Just light-hearted, don't mean any harm to the fella, because he's trying to go forward, But he was in good company the other night. I mean, Stephen Davis was having a few nightmares as well. So it was just a kind of like a virus that spread through the whole game. Both teams just couldn't get going.
It was definitely both teams.
But that was just going forward at the back. Calvin, I thought he was great.
It's true what you say. It was a game that did lack quality, and that's what I'd really got myself built up for it. And like 80 minutes in, I was like, oh, this has been terrible. But anyway, on the 85th minute, we got the break that we probably arguably deserved, because I do think in the second half we were pushing on a wee bit more, especially once the subs came on, as you said. Now, yet again, more sort of manufactured controversy around a decision affecting Rangers. Penalty or no penalty, I mean, Chris Boyd did quite a good, you get soft-boiled eggs, you get hard-boiled eggs, but it's still an egg at the end of the day. I mean, my arse was off the couch claiming for it the minute it happened. And I'll tell you something else. I think, when you think of the sort of stick that John Beaton's received about, how he referees Rangers games and all the rest of it, it took a long time to blow the whistle for that. Because it seemed to me that Kent had been down for 2 or 3 seconds, and I'm still like, and he was looking and looking and looking. I thought, he's not going to give this, you know what I mean? And then eventually he gave it. But, I mean, again, you could argue it was soft. I'm not convinced. I think that the contact's fairly firm. But for me, whether it's soft or not soft, it's a penalty.
Yes, absolutely. Michael Stewart said it was a penalty, Colin.
Yeah. Andy Walker said it was a penalty.
Andy Walker says a penalty straight away. He's clipped him. He's touched he's knocked his foot. You see it in the replay from behind the goal, clearer than anything. But seen it in normal time. And that's the thing, when it's slowed down from any other angle, it can look, extra soft. But no, Ryan Kent. I mean, the ball's just been getting up. He knows Sakala's coming on for him. Yeah. Score the penalty. Sakala, sit down. It's lunchtime time. No, we're plugging things up. We're going 4-4-2. But no, Ryan Kent was getting more and more joy in that left-hand side. And then when, I think 65 minutes, we bring on Arfield and Roof, and the increase in quality, I thought, was palpable. First 20 minutes of that game, first 20 minutes of that second half, we were terrible. I thought we were going to go. The kick-off, we just looked switched off rather than more up for it. You're looking for increasing tempo after a kind of a bollocking for the manager. The flares come on. Snowballs last Sunday. The flares come on. I'm hoping, that maybe this is going to get us going, but no, another 10 minutes. It's just all Hibs. I mean, Connor Golson's getting the ball taken off his feet and then getting run past. The boy Campbell's take them to the cleaners and stuff like that. We're all over the place at times, and yet had enough bodies there all the time to get away with it. But when Roof and Arfield come on, the combinations, Scotty's pushing forward, Kamal's coming back, and it results with the two of them combining a couple of times in the middle of the park.
There was a good one with Roof. He sort of chested it into Arfield's run. It was superb. And I think that's what we were missing. We were missing that sort of running for deep and going beyond the sort of strikers.
That's it. We're talking about the check. We're talking about the Roof Chester. We're talking about that on Tuesday nights. Preview pod, and there it was, in full effect as a kind of build-up method as well. It was fantastic, and we were just turning the screw. And the goal, the build-up to the penalty, it's Kamal Roof is pressuring the Hibs defender. He doesn't get the ball away he wants. Glenn Kamara's in there, just taking it off the guy's feet again with the kind of telescopic legs of his. Fantastic Rolls Royce stuff. Hadji, what a ball across to Scotty Arfield, who doesn't even need to look, and he's put it out to Kent. And he's had the shot off Porteous' massive coupon. He's had the shot the goalie saved at near post. He's getting closer and closer, and he cuts inside. He's got Porteous on toast, and Porteous can't help himself. It's only because I think we're so used to seeing Porteous get in there, studs up, trying to break shins, that anything less than that looks like he's not really trying to tackle. But he's clipped him good and proper. He's a stone waller, mate. Basically as a stone waller. It's almost like he's no hurt him. And because Ken, as a proper forward player, is looking for it as well, makes no difference. He got it, and there's just no question that it was a penalty. And brother Beaton, who takes it. Could he make it anywhere obvious? I mean, the Hibs players didn't take the knee, but Beaton did. Beaton took the knee with the Rangers players at kick-off. But he just thought he'd make us sweat, a wee bit before he gave it. But that's what we're always telling referees: take your time, make a proper decision, take your time.
Just make the decision. Put me in my misery because I was standing there like, what's going on? Is it a penalty? Is it no penalty? And I just wonder if it crosses referees' minds if they're getting a bit of abuse or a bit of criticism, that it crosses their mind like, can I give this? You know what I mean? Even though it is, because it's just going to be mere stick.
It's becoming a campaign. Yeah, is it worth the hassle giving Rangers a penalty?
Yeah, that it does kind of feel like that a wee bit at times. But I mean, we got it, and on Roof, me and my mate were discussing this the other day there, and about Gio maybe prefer him to Morelos, because listening to Van Bronckhorst today at his press conference, he was very much talking about the defending starts at the front. And, I mean, one thing I will say is Alfie has been a wee bit more, his work rate has increased, there's no doubt about that. And I don't think he played necessarily bad on Wednesday night, but it just wasn't happening. And we bring on Roof. And I think straight away you see the difference. And, 5 minutes to go, I'll come on to the other question about Roof in a minute, but 5 minutes to go, we need the 3 points. And I hate these staggered run-ups. I hate it when they start doing that. But I mean, I saw somebody suggesting on Twitter the day that it was a terrible penalty, and if the keeper goes the right way, he saves it. But my sort of view in that would be, he does the staggered run up to see what way the keeper's going to go, so he can just roll it the other way. So I mean, I think it's a hard watch, but it's a skill, and it's a great penalty, and it's a skill he executed well.
It's a brutal watch, aye, and it's one of those ones. If you pull it off, which Kamaru has done 3 times out of 3 now this season, it's beautiful. It's all. I mean, it doesn't. And every time he does it now, I'm remembering the one against St Johnstone in the Cup. Last season, which isn't fair in him or anybody else. You're thinking, no, why are you doing that? And what it is because the likes of me, in my 2 minutes of playing pub league football, I'm just like, hit the thing. You'll get a certain amount of placement. You'll take a wee bit of kind of velocity off it just so you can get that bit of accuracy. You try to place it, because if you blast it too hard, it's going to end up going over the bar. But so it makes you weird. It's like I'm left-footed, because I haven't used to kind of favour my left foot. If I see somebody take a penalty with the right foot, it freaks me out. Right. But Kamar Roof doing that, it's touch and cloth stuff. But when it goes in, you're just like, that's fantastic. I think we just worry what's going to happen if a goalkeeper just stands there and doesn't move. He gave him the eyes as well. He looks to the other corner. As well as actually watching the goalie to see where he's going to go, but he made him go first, and long may it continue. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's a skill he's obviously worked on. You know what I mean? As you say, that's 3 penalties out of 3, but it's so nerve-wracking. You're just like, oh no, I can't do. With Tav, you knew. I mean, when Tav was going through that period when he was just scoring penalty after penalty, everything about the way he done it, he's run up. He looked assured. You were always confident that he was going to score. I'm confident that Roof will score. But that 2, 3, 4 second process of him getting to that is horrible. When he starts the stagger, you're like, oh, here we go. It's no good to watch at all. In terms of the possibility that Gio might actually favour Roof as the number 9 in terms of that, defending from the front, more mobile, and actually I do think his goal per game ratio is better as well. Is there a chance here that Ellis might feel a wee bit of heat?
Absolutely. Aye, and I think it's deserved as well. The other thing you've got to remember about that penalty is another reason, for the sidelines, I'm kind of thinking, oh no, in my kind of amateur playing head is because he's only been on the park 20 minutes when he takes that penalty. You know, he's only been on the park for 20 minutes, and you've got that thing where you're thinking, oh, you need a player that's been playing the whole game, is properly warmed up. But the minute he arrives in that park, he is ready to go. Kemar Roofe mentally is so attuned. Even in post-match interviews and that, Kemar Roofe always sounds like somebody who's just can't wait to go into the next game. He can't wait for the interviewer to go into the next question. He's got a real kind of like focus on him that's quite scary, and I love it. So no, he's ready to go. He's happy to bide his, not happy to bide his time, but he knows how to bide his time. So that when he arrives on the park, he's not in a huff. He's no, it's like he's ready to go and do his utmost. And him and Scotty Arfield transformed that game the other night. And I think he deserves his place tomorrow, because we're in a situation where you can just even be saying to Alfie, look at the number of games we're playing. I think we can say this to everybody in the team just now. Look at the number of games we're playing across this period. So we actually need to rest players. It's not like a dropping or a criticism. You're right what you're saying. Alfie's the brutal chance he's missed right on half time. He started that move from a Hibs corner. He's kind of started the move, bringing us out of our own box and all that, and then he's running on. He's piling on to get in the box for the cross. It's no work for him on the night, and I don't think it's through lack of effort, especially under Gio. He's been kind of hot and cold all season really, and the cold kind of came out the other night. The cold kind of won over the other night. But I think if nothing else, more than Alfie deserves to be dropped, I think Kemar Roofe deserves a shot.
Right, on to Dundee tomorrow at Ibrox. A couple of wee interesting stats here. Rangers have won their last 12 top flight home games against Dundee, a run stretching back to March 2001 when we were beat 2-0. I was at that game. I'm sure Gavin Ray scored in that game for Dundee. Dick Advocat was the manager. I had to double check today because I thought, see if Gio played in that game. There's the jinx straight away. But he was away. He didn't play in that game. So 2001 is the last time Dundee have came to Ibrox and won. In that time, we've scored 37 goals against them, and we've only conceded 4. Another wee stat: promoted sides are winless in the last 16 away games against the reigning Scottish champions. The last promoted side to go to Ibrox or Celtic Park and win was Hamilton. Sorry, they beat Celtic in 2014. Another one is Gio's first home game as in charge in the league, and the last manager not to win is his first home game at Ibrox is Mark Warburton. Apparently, August 2016, 1-1 draw with Hamilton. I was at that game as well. That was Joey Barton's year. That's the year he came in. Oh. So lots of stats going in Rangers' way here. It's been a long time since the Dundee have came to Ibrox and won. The first time I saw Dundee at Ibrox actually was 84. And they beat us 3-2 in the Scottish Cup. They were 2-0 up. I'm sure Cammy Fraser and Ian Ferguson scored that day. Yes. I was sitting in the Copeland front, just sort of to the left-hand side behind the goal. And Dave McPherson made it 2-each, and he came running right up to where me and my dad were, and I just remember celebrating. And then, like 5 minutes later, Dundee equalised. Dundee went 3-2 in front. And I'm sure Ian Redford got sent off in the last sort of 2-3 minutes. So that's my abiding memory of Dundee at Ibrox. But I mean, it's a long time since they've won. However, they are in a bit of form at the moment. They've the last 6 they've won. I've got it here. They've won 3 in the last 6, lost 2, drawn 1. They're sitting third in the form table. So I mean, history says Rangers should win this, and form would suggest that. But it's maybe not as a foregone conclusion. It was maybe going to be 4 or 5 weeks ago. Dundee were struggling a few weeks ago. That seems to have turned. They've had a bit of run of form.
Aye. The first things first, Colin. I mean, they stats, all those stats. You get a life, mate. I mean, that's just so boring,
I know.
Imagine being one of these folk who sits and looks up hundreds of football stats and finds them to be interesting.
It's shocking.
I don't understand folk like you.
I'm just trying to fill dead air, Alex. That's what it is.
Brilliant stuff. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I think I'm trying to think. You've got me thinking. That's the first Dundee game I remember. I think I was at that one as well, because he put us out the Scottish Cup 2 years in a row. Sorry, the one where it's Cammy Fraser and Ian Ferguson, the one 2 goals against Inter Milan. Ian Ferguson scoring for Dundee. So we signed the 2 of them. I think we'd be drawn 2 each at Dens Park. It was a replay. On a Saturday.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if we were down to 10 men and we were losing as well. And I think maybe we done 2-0. We come back to 2 each. It's one of the real sick ones where we come back to 2 each and the place is going crazy. And then Dundee's got a part and score again.
Yeah, I do remember.
So we buy Fraser and Ferguson. That's sort that out. We get in the following season the Scottish Cup. John Brown scores.
John Brown scores. Yeah.
So we signed him, and it worked out a bit better. I think Kenny just scored that time. The last time they beat us at Ibrox, we signed him as well. So
Gavin Ray definitely scored that game. I'm sure he scored that time they beat us. And we signed
Gavin Ray, and I remember Savo Milne scoring for them as well, Dundee Ibrox, and he comes back. We didn't sign him, so he came back and put us out the League Cup. St Johnstone, when they were a division below us, under League One. So if we don't sign them, it just gets worse.
Just gets worse and worse.
No, I mean but if my paranoid kind of superstition point of view, I don't like that it's been so long.
Yeah.
But the other side of that. Something we were talking about again the other night. I like the fact that Dundee are in a bit of form. They're beating the teams they're supposed to be beating, and the kind of season they're trying to stay up first and foremost. Maybe even now they've got hopes of top 6, which means they're exerting the proper amount of energy on the likes of St Johnstone the other night. A Derby win for them, cracking. They did really well that game. Lovely goal they scored. And then they're doing the business against Motherwell. They beat St Mirren by 1 goal, in Paisley, which is something we've managed this season. We know that's a hard thing to do. So I like the fact that they're exerting plenty of energy that way. And maybe when they come to Ibrox, hopefully, they'll find it's the kind of balance of the season, the focus of the season is on the teams that they've got a realistic chance of beating. They've obviously got a realistic chance of beating us as well, but if we can be on one game, it maybe just be too much for them. As I was saying the other night, that's something I generally like. I also like the fact, Dundee United get beat midweek, so they'll get something to prove when they play Celtic at Tannadice.
Sunday, yeah,
that's the kind of other side of it. But it's one of those ones, that horrible thing. I just, as well as they're doing, I just don't see. I love wee Paul McMullen. I think he's a cracking Paul McGowan. Sorry, I think he's a cracking player. Has been for years. He's like 34. But Charlie Adams like 36, I think, is next week or something like that. 37, I don't know. He's well old anyway.
And he looks about 10 years older than he actually looks.
Charlie's always looked, when he started with us, he looked about 36. So he's. We just should have too much for them. We should have too much for them. We played them at Dens Park though. That's one of our worst performances this season. But that's what I'm talking about. Dundee are really struggling at that point, and they kind of give us a real hard time. A lot of that was down to ourselves that day. But I'm hoping now they're on a wee flow and they're finding their level, so to speak. I don't mean that patronisingly. I just mean realistically that coming to Ibrox is they've got Ross County away, for example. They're at Dingwall the following weekend. Yeah. I'm hoping they're more focused on that and just they come just looking for a bonus tomorrow. And we need the points. And if we need it, we'll do.
And that's where I was going to take it. And given some of the announcements in terms of, as you say, Celtic are going to Tannadice, which this season has proven difficult for most teams. It was beyond us earlier on this season. The Celtic have got a couple of injuries, so it's vital for us to get those 3 points. So you would think, in terms of motivation, we should be the more motivated team tomorrow. You know what I mean? We should be going out there looking for those 3 points.
Aye, absolutely. The thing for me, Colin, it's kind of hard to believe. Every time they repeated that stat the other night, that was the 20 games now since Hibs have beaten us in the top flight at Easter Road, obviously with the games in the championships that were with a 4-0 stuff in there, but also we beat them 6-2 in the Challenge Cup at Easter Road. Yeah. These are kind of outliers, but suddenly you're like, how have we managed to go 20? Hibs kind of hate us so much, so that's the thing, that Hibs are always up for it against Rangers, but it's actually Celtic. There's no myth that they're up for it, but they don't have a.
But are they up for it though? I mean, even the fans. I mean, the attendance the other night. I don't want to go back to the Hibs game too much, but the attendance the other night for a big game against a club that they hate.
Aye, that's shocking. That's it. And I think the thing for me is that Celtic. It's actually Celtic that get a terrible record. That's what I'm talking about in terms of maybe your more bitter Rangers fans will see it as two teams with Irish heritage and playing in green and white. Hibs will lie down. Celtic got a terrible record at Easter Road. They hadn't actually beaten them. They beat them. That was the thing. They beat them last month, though. October. They beat them in October. Celtic, kind of quite easily by all accounts. And that's a big result for them. And that's one of those ones that kind of you look at it and you think that's a game like basically since Hibs have come back up for the top for the championship, back into the top flight. They've always taken points off Celtic at Easter Road. I think they drew with them 3 times last season or something. So that Celtic have went to Easter Road and won. So we kind of had to, and we did. And the problem is it's home fixtures. I think because the big headline is we lost our unbeaten league record went to Tannadice, and last season we only dropped points on the road. So you might kind of feel Rangers away from home are under more pressure, but it's at Ibrox. We've dropped twice as many points at Ibrox this season as we have. Because it's been draws and we've still got an unbeaten record at Ibrox, it maybe doesn't seem so bad in general. But I'm really, we're not conceding the first goal anymore. When we go in front, we stay in front in his 3 games so far. The next thing he's got to actually tackle is that Rangers don't drop points at Ibrox. And the 2 times I've done that is by taking the lead and then conceding in the second half. So this isn't just a kind of welcome home Gio and no kind of formality. He's still got work to do, in terms of changing the rhythm under Gerrard.
Well, it's like 6 points we've dropped to Ibrox, Motherwell, Aberdeen and Hearts. You know what I mean? Yep. So, yeah, I mean, like in terms of tomorrow's squad update, I mean, Gio gave an update today, his presser. Ryan Jack back in the squad. He was omitted for the squad entirely on Wednesday there. And Van Bronckhorst was saying that, he's going to start getting minutes now. So I think he'll feature at some point tomorrow. He says he's going to try and get him into the team. A wee update on Balogun as well. Apparently he'll be training from Sunday and should be available for selection soon, which will be good because as good as Bassey's been at that sort of left centre back role, I don't think we're getting enough for Borna. So it would be good actually to get Bassey back out there, if you know what I mean, and improve the sort of delivery that's coming for there, because Borna's I just don't think he's on it at all this season. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the squad, it feels like options are becoming available again. I think Ryan Jack's a big one. I think I don't think we're going to see a huge amount of them between now and the winter break. But once we get into the back 9, so to speak, once we get over that halfway point in January, after the January break, he could become a pivotal figure.
Aye, absolutely. And I feel as if we just need everybody back. Straight on, same as yourself, we all do this as supporters. We're thinking, if Balogun comes back, where are we going to accommodate Bassey? Because we need to have him in. You start thinking that, and so quickly it just becomes a situation where, Celtic, even we're playing Celtic this season, we're playing third choice goalie, third choice, fullback. Quickly, you just lose players incredibly quickly. And I almost have this kind of strange feeling of, like the other night, that's another 3 points for managed without Hollander. Because it's almost like, can we just keep racking up points until Big Phil comes back and we can, we can get him shoring things up at the back, because he'll make us all feel safe again. But it's a bit of a slight, because Rangers have been generally been doing fine, the top of the league. But we need everybody back. And Ryan Jack, I think Gio's maybe come in and he's looked and he said, no, it's too. They maybe look at him and just said, no, just because Gerrard was bringing him back. Gerrard was starting to play him, and they just said, no, you're not ready yet. Take another week off or whatever and come back. And it's weird.
I found what he said on Wednesday night quite interesting, because when he was out the squad, I texted my mate straight away. I was like, he's not even in the squad. And I was like, he must have had another injury again. And then in his pre-match interview, he said, no, I didn't want to risk him tonight because we've only got 7 substitutes. I remember the days when it was 2. You had 2 substitutes. You're like, go on, Gio, you've only got 7 substitutes. I found that a bit of an odd comment. And then in my paranoid mind, I'm thinking, well, if you can't get into the 7 substitutes, maybe Gio's thinking, no, you're not for me. But I mean, obviously today he said he's back in the team, he's back in the squad. I think if the game goes well tomorrow and we're in a good position in the sort of final third of the game, he might come on for the last sort of 20 minutes, half hour, and start getting minutes in the legs.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the other thing. We just you feel like it's a spoiled, getting a bit ungrateful for how brilliant we were last season, but in terms of Rangers actually winning the league, how the machinations of that, you need to have a game every now and then where you can relax. Where you're maybe 3-0 up at half time or something like that, and you can bring on your Ryan Jack and that kind of situation. I don't know about you, Colin. He was your player of the season last season, Steve Davis, an absolute god of it. I just adore the guy, and again, I hate saying this, but he looked maybe a bit off it the other night, he needs more rest. And I've kind of swapped him with Glenn Kamara in my mind. I just suddenly realised the other night, I'm now worried about Glenn Kamara needing a rest, because he seems as vital a cog in that midfield, particularly as Steve Davis seemed last season. We just got to keep. So if we get Ryan Jack back, then we've got somebody else to come in there, because we're not sure about Big Lundstrom yet. He's not really, he's not the real deal yet.
Lundstrom's a strange one, because he was playing so well, and now he just seems to be completely out of things.
He's having a run of form. He was our man of the match when we beat Dundee at Dens Park. And as I've just said, that was a terrible performance, and I think that's the way his season was going. Lundstrom, he was the cause of or near to fatal goals that we were losing. And then when he was playing well, it was when everybody else was playing badly, kind of thing. He's not really had that moment where Rangers have been bloody great tonight and Lundstrom was the best. He's not really had that complete kind of arrival yet. And I think we've got that with like a Scott Wright, Fashion Sakala, even if he's still in that bracket. We've got a lot of players who are just kind of on the cusp. We know they can do it, but they maybe need the rest of the team to be on form as well.
Firing.
So we don't know what's going to happen in January. Obviously, Gio probably maybe want to bring in his own guys or whatever, but to give it a bit of a freshen up. But this is why this schedule we've got just now, weekend, midweek, up to the Christmas period, and that we need to have as many players available as possible. And that's the only thing. It sounds super greedy, as I say, it sounds super spoiled, but I'm looking at Gio's the 3 games he's had. We scored maybe against 55 minutes or something. We get the second goal against Sparta Prague. Say that's 40 minutes. We're terrified we're going to lose 1 goal. So I'm kind of crapping myself for 40 minutes during that game. I think it's 50 minutes before we get the third decisive goal against Livingston. So I was basically crapping myself for half of his first 2 games. And then that was 85 minutes the other night. And let's be honest, I thought Hibs were going to go up the park and equalise straight away on it. So I've not really been relaxed. I've been enjoying the results and enjoying the performances in retrospect. But I think we would all just like it for ourselves, selfishly as fans, but also for the players need to go put on a wee show, just get themselves an easy game, in amongst this run for a psychological break, and as much as a break to the legs, A break for the legs, not a break of the legs.
Of the legs, yeah. That's an important distinction to make.
It really is.
Alex. Especially in a pod when Ryan Porteous has popped up more than once. On to Dundee. I mean, they do have some big names in their squad. You've mentioned Charlie Adam earlier on there. Our great friend Lee Griffiths is there. Jason Commons, ex-Rangers man, he's there. But I mean, it's the two I want to talk about. Because I mean, at the start of the season, when I saw Cummins was there, I thought, well, that's a good signing for them. And then when Griffiths, as much as I don't like him, when he went to Dundee, you're thinking, well, that's a decent sort of striking duo that they've got. But the thing is, they're not getting a huge amount of game time, because the boy Danny Mullins just, he's top of the goal scoring charts. He seems to be the main man at the moment. Lee Griffiths, 1 goal in 8 appearances. Jason Cummins got 3 in 11, but Danny Mullins got 3 in 8, and I think he scored last week against, was it Motherwell? I think he scored last week. So he seems to be the man in form, and it seems to be that he's feeding off the fact that he's got these 2 sort of fairly big names that he's got to try and live with and get into the team.
He's got like one we hate and one we love. He's got a ex-Ranger and ex-Celt. Try to get his place off him, but he's making a big noise about the fact that he thinks he's the number 1 striker at Dundee, Mullen, and he's got the number 9 jersey. And from what I've seen of him, that was a lovely goal. He scored the other night. Lovely ball in from McGowan. He's taken it, he's turned and just slotted it away very professionally, very nicely. But frankly, if Rangers let a goal like that, if we concede a goal like that tomorrow, I'll be absolutely raging. One thing I don't think Dundee have is pace, of any real pace of any sort. They've got plenty of guile, I think, and Paul Mullen, cracking player at that kind of level between Championship up to maybe top 4, just below the top 4 in the Premier League or the Premiership. I don't think they should be causing us that many problems, but you never know. I mean, Lee Griffiths went off. He's having a few problems. He went off, and we quite enjoyed it. He went off early when he was playing against us at Dens this season. But we've already had Scott Brown scoring against us into Scotland this season. I don't really want to see Lee Griffiths getting a sniff of goal tomorrow, or if he does, I just want it to be a consolation. I just think we should have too much for them, Colin. And if we don't, we're seriously off our game, and it would put a bit of a dent in the kind of, I think we're still at that point where it could be new manager bounce. You know, you want to see almost like we step up a gear now. We had a bit of a lull, if you like, at Easter Road. The performance wasn't tremendous, but I think it's enough of a lull that if we went and we stepped up a gear again tomorrow, you're thinking, yeah, Gio's on a run. He's got us going. You know, it's not just a case of everybody's trying for the new guy.
I think if we win tomorrow, that'll be the first time this season. I could be wrong here. I'm taking a pot shot in the dark, but I think it could be the first time we've won 3 league games in a row. I might be wrong.
You must be.
I can't be wrong by much if I am wrong.
No, you must be, because we lost what we lost to Dundee United at the second game, wasn't it? The second game of the season where we lost at Tannadice. Aye, and then we've drawn with Motherwell, drawn with Hearts, drawn with Aberdeen. Aye, we've only played 15 games, so you know. Aye, you must be. Aye,
no be far
right.
off. And Lee Griffiths, I mean, we know, you know, he's getting a lot of stick these days. Every ground he goes to because of his activities on social media, shall we say. I don't think he's going to get an easier time at tomorrow.
No. I think, you know, when you've behaved the way he has, you know, at Ibrox in particular, you know, if you're going to go tying scarves and goalposts and things like that and spitting in crests and things like that, listen, you know, I actually, as a Scotland player as well, I liked Lee Griffiths. I thought he's one of these guys, you know, he's just daft enough, you know, to be brilliant. But some of the stuff with Rangers has been a bit, I think he's just daft. I think the boy's just daft, you know. To me, you know, in my early 50s, he is just a boy. I like the fact that he got the hair implants and then shaved them. That's I think to get hair implants so you can get a crew cut, I think is different. It's different level. That's a sign of his special genius. But I can't help being a Rangers supporter and just wanting them to get not a sniff tomorrow.
Yeah, aye. I would want him to get a sniff, but I want McGregor to make a world class save again.
Totally.
Just get it off him. Speaking of reception at Ibrox, spoke about him earlier on. Charlie Adam, you know, ex-Rangers man, a player I quite liked at Ibrox, I've got to say, and I thought he was one of these ones that got a bit of a hard time when he did play for us. I sometimes feel that the Rangers support just select someone and that's it. You know, when things start going bad, that's the guy they sort of focus on. And I think Charlie Adam suffers from a wee bit of that. But that said, I mean, after his comments in 2012, you know, he kind of said when Rangers were going through their financial troubles, don't really care, it's going on to do with me, all that kind of thing. I think we got a wee insight at the Legends game, and when Gerrard played for Liverpool in that Legends game, he was there that day, what sort of reception he can expect tomorrow. And I don't think it will be overly warm, if I'm being honest.
I wasn't at the Legends game, and it's funny. This is just passed me by. As did, to be honest, his comments. I'd seen things in past times. You hear stuff, and I think even my mate Robert had said to me after what Charlie Adams said, and it must have been my round or something, because I never really took the conversation any further. I don't, you know, I wasn't really aware that he'd been that kind of snidey towards us or whatever. My abiding memory of Charlie Adam, apart from, you know, like some of his absolutely lovely goals for us and a fantastic display. He was great. I think the thing that sums him up is he was great under Le Guin in Europe. You know, a period that everybody generally hates at Rangers. Yeah. Charlie Adam was smashing. I touched the Lundstrom this season. It's like Charlie Adams' career at Rangers. It never really got the praise that it should have. It never really took off the way it should have. I just remember one day at Pittodrie. I think it was a Sunday game in the winter time. And the teams come out for the second half, and Aberdeen must have come out later. And Charlie Adam was just up, standing at the touchline, just talking away. Everybody talking away to the Rangers supporters, just chatting. You know, I don't even think it was about football. I don't know what they're chatting about. The road up to Aberdeen or something like that. And he was just seemed like a lovely guy. So I found it kind of weird that he was saying bad things about the club, or didn't seem to care enough. But my main worry is that what a career he's had in England. You know, in terms of sheer experience and knowing the game. He's playing for this is his childhood club. This is the team he did actually want to play for. Yeah, you know, which we take umbrage at, I think, sometimes. Why wouldn't it be Rangers? But he's played for Liverpool, played for Stoke, Blackpool. You know, he's a cracking career. Maybe not as great as he wanted to be, but it's not half bad at that when you get to play at Anfield for Liverpool for a few games. So, no, I'm just worried that wee bit of experience might cause problems for us tomorrow. But I just keep coming back to it, Colin. I think I'm just kind of super psyched for tomorrow. We should run over the top of Dundee tomorrow without even really thinking about it. And I hope that's what we do. And I'll not be booing Charlie Adam or
no, neither will I.
Slating him or
We're
anything
doing Lee
like
Griffiths though.
He can get it right with him. But that's again, even with Lee Griffiths, it's the same with Scott Brown. Maybe I'm just too old, but I was never that annoyed at them. I was just annoyed at Rangers for not being able to sort them out. I think they're from that era where that was what liquidation did to us. We've seen guys like Stuart McCall and all that, he would just run over the top with like Brown or Griffiths or what have you. Them getting to act the kind of fast track bullies and getting to big themselves up just showed how kind of classless they were, and kind of even just a bit stupid, the guys, And I just feel as if I didn't really want to give them the satisfaction of hating them that much. But I hope we get the last laugh over them tomorrow, obviously.
Yeah, so they are. And we'll find out. And on to tomorrow. I mean, myself and Stuart, I think we're going to do some pre-match stuff. I think me and you are hooking up afterwards for some post-match stuff. So look out for that. There'll be more stuff over the weekend. And obviously we'll have the flagship show on Sunday. I believe Ross is hosting. I think you're on that as well, Alex, are you not?
Yeah, I'm union, Colin. I'm union. You can't
you're in. You're salaried. That's it. You're in.
Tell you.
I've got the night off.
Sunday as well. I'm in there.
I've got the night off on Sunday. I'm putting up my Christmas tree and having some mulled wine. So I'll have my feet up watching you guys. So that's all for this episode of the the preview show. Remember, guys, the show will be available to download and stream on a variety of platforms tomorrow, including the Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, between now and Sunday, obviously get yourself onto the Gersnet website and forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Remember, we'll have some post-match stuff and pre-match stuff tomorrow and the main show on Sunday. Until the next time, guys, bye for now.